Alright, what's up everybody? I'm gonna do a quick video on how to install Call of Troops 2K. This video is gonna be for people who have never installed any mods on 2K before. If you have installed a mod before and you're still having issues with the new update, like teams missing, courts missing, things like that, make sure you re-download the roster. It seems like when you download the roster, sometimes from 2K share, it can get corrupt. So try to re-download the roster. Also make sure that you have the mod plugin and the current executable, the exe for 2K in your mod in your 2K directory. So those are the things that you want to do if you've already had the mod before and it's not working. Check that roster, check the exe, just re-download it, drop it in your 2K directory, and make sure you got the mod plugin for it, which you should have if you've been playing with mods. But this video is going to be for people who have never installed it before, and we're going to do it pretty much from scratch. So the first thing that people need to do is we're gonna find the 2K directory. So I'm noticing that a lot of people don't know where that is, or they don't have a way to get to it quickly, which can result in you just dragging and dropping files anywhere. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna find a 2K directory. The easiest way to do that is find the shortcut on your desktop, and then you can go right to the location. If you do not have that shortcut, I'm gonna delete mine. If you do not have that shortcut, let's place one on your desktop. So that's gonna be the very first thing that we need to do. So if you're on Windows, which most people should be, usually 2K is installed under the 32-bit folder for program files. So we're gonna go to your C drive or wherever you have games installed. So when you run Steam, you have options to choose where you want to have your games installed. Some people use their C drive by default. Some people have extra drives that they install games on. Find that drive where 2K is installed. Mine's on the C drive, so I'm gonna go to C. I'm gonna go to program files x86. Again, you'll have a program files and a program files x86, 64-bit, 32-bit. So it's a 32-bit application. So we're gonna go into x86. Once you go into x86, you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna look for Steam. Again, this is for people that are using the Steam version. If you're not, if you installed it, if you have it some other way, you gotta find your folder on your own. All right, so once we go into Steam, you're gonna look for Steam apps. Once you look for Steam apps, you're gonna go to common. Then you're gonna go to the directory of the game that we're talking about. Obviously, we're talking about NBA 2K. So this is the NBA 2K directory right here. You'll know it's the NBA 2K directory because you have all these what we call archive files. These archives are pretty much what holds all the game files. So if you see the different letters, 3H, G, F, E, D, that means that you're in the 2K directory. So the first thing that we want to do is let's go ahead and get a shortcut right to this directory to make it really easy to go back into when we want to mess with mods. So let me go ahead and remove these out. Let me not confuse anybody. All right, so the first thing we want to do in this 2K folder, there is a executable, NBA 2K20.exe. We're going to right click on that and we're going to go to send to desktop, create shortcuts. We're basically creating a shortcut to this executable. All right, once you do that, it's going to place a shortcut on your desktop. I just find this is the easiest way to get in and out of this directory with a couple clicks. So that's the first thing we want to do is we want to make a shortcut to this executable. Once you have that done, to get to that folder where your mods and stuff are going to go, you're going to right click on it and you're going to go to open file location. My bad. Open file location. Once you open file location, see how it takes you right to that directory. So that's the very first step I want everybody to do. This is the easiest way to get in and out of this directory so you can, drop files in, take files out, blah, blah. All right, so once we do that, the next thing is to understand how 2K updates. So every time 2K presents an update or puts an update out there for everybody to download, this executable, this NBA 2K20.exe updates every single time. So that's important because different types of mods and roster mods work on certain versions of 2K. On PS4, Xbox, every time you update, you just play on the newest version. On PC, we have the privilege of not being able to play on any version that we like. So typically when people make roster mods and things like that, they typically work under a certain version of 2K because that's when they built the roster. So when I started building this roster, I was on version 5. So if you're playing NBA 2K and it updates, it's gonna update this exe right here, and you can tell by the date. The date of mine is September 30th, 2019. This was the last time that it updated, and that's when I started my roster. So if you don't have this version of the exe, the executable, and you're trying to load my roster up, courts will be missing, jerseys won't work, teams will be out of whack, it'll be all messed up. So this is the very first thing that you want to make sure that you have right, is this exe right here. To get this executable, I give it to you in my media folder. So if you go to my, I'll take you guys a long way too. So if you go to my thread, which the links and stuff are all in the description. Hopefully this don't take that long to load up. I'll let that load up. And LSC probably get hammered. But we're gonna go to my media fire page real quick. Log in. Alright, so alright, so when you go to my thread, which is still loading, when you go to my thread, there's a link that says to start the installation process, click here. It takes you to this folder right here. In this folder, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's an NBA 2K20.exe. You must have this inside of this folder, because every time 2K updates, again, it's gonna update this file. So if you open up Steam and it says NBA 2K20 updating, what I try to do is I'll try to go in here and copy the one that I'm using and make a copy of it somewhere. And that way when 2K20 updates, I can take the new version and put it into another folder. For example, I'll show you here. Patches. So inside of this 2K folder, I've made a folder called patches. Every time it updates, I take that exe and I drop it in there. So this is version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5. So this is the version that I started my roster on. So if you have any version outside of this, my roster will not work correctly. So this is the very first thing that people need to make sure they have. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this exe right here and you're gonna download it. Once you download it, I need you to drag it and drop it into this 2K directory. It's gonna ask you, do you want to replace the one that's there? What you can do is you can say yes and just replace it. If you want to, you can take this one and rename it to something like .old, or make a folder called patches like I did and put like version whatever, and drag it in there, and then drop this file into this directory so that you'll have my version. So that's the very first thing that you want to do. Without this version of the executable, my mod won't work right. The roster just won't load right. Teams will be all over the place. Courts and jerseys will not load. So that's the very first thing you want to do. Once you have that set up, the next thing that you want to do is you want to get the mod plugin. So if you go back to my directory, there's a mod plugin in the hook folder, hook thing that you want to download right here. So you're gonna click on that. You're gonna download. When you open that up, it's gonna have a folder that says mod plugin and hook. Open that up. You want to take all of these files and folders and drag them and drop them right into your 2K directory. Once you do that, you're pretty much set up to go from there as far as installing mods. The only thing you'll need to do is take this Wagua folder, and then this is where you're gonna put all your mods at. So again, the first thing you want to do is let's get a shortcut to the directory. Place a shortcut here. Sometimes you'll see on the desktop for Steam people, it'll just say NBA 2K20. You may want to delete that one, because sometimes that's not an official shortcut. That's like it loading through Steam, and sometimes the mod won't work right. So make sure you get one that says, make sure you make your own shortcut. Don't let Steam make it for you. If Steam does make it, just delete it and go in, find the folder like we did, right click it, send to desktop, make your own shortcut. And then right click it, open file location, it takes you right to the directory. Again, grab that exe, drop it in there. If you want to replace it, that's fine. I suggest making a backup of the one that's currently in there though. Once you do that, grab all the mod, plugin, and hook folders, drop them into your 2K directory. Once you drop them in here, your 2K directory is gonna look like something like this. You're gonna have the exe. You'll know it's my version too, because if you right click on it, go to properties, details, look at the date modified on it. Usually the date modified will be somewhere around September. You can also look at the digital signature, which will show September 26. So if that digital signature does not say this date, it's not the right version. But if you get it from my folder, you should be okay, no matter what it says. Another thing I'm noticing people are when they download the version, the exe, sometimes there's a little option down here that says unblock because it came from the internet. Go ahead and check go ahead and click unblock, because by default what Windows will do is it'll go ahead and block it, so it's, you know, just in case it's like some virus or something. So go ahead and click unblock and then hit OK, and then you won't have anything down here. But you'll have the 2K exe in the directory. You have the 2K hook, which we got from this folder right here. You'll have the D input 8, which is right there. You'll have the D3D11, which is right there. And you'll have the 2K WGUA, which this is the most important file because this lets 2K look at external files outside of the archive. So this basically is the brains behind the plugin right here. So if you go down, oh, there you go right here. So there's mine. Then I have the WGUA folder, which this is your modded folder. So when people say, are you putting it into your modded folder? They're talking about this WGUA folder right here. And there's my WGUA folder. So now that you got the basics set up, you got the exe, you got the mod plugin, you got the hook, which also the 2K hook should be in there too, which is right here. This 2K hook basically allows us to, it basically allows the game to read files that's not a part of the game. So basically Lua, he basically wrote this program in a sense to tell 2K it's okay to load files that you don't know that you have. So that's why we need the hook in there, because I use a lot of different file names that are not a part of 2K. So if you don't have this, my files won't load. So that's important as well. So once you got all of this stuff in your 2K directory, you got my exe. From there, all you're doing is going to my thread, and I'm gonna load it up. There's a file, there we go. And it might take a minute, so we'll get a second to load. And once you go to my thread, it's gonna have installation instructions 1 through like 12 or something like that. Just start following those steps. So if we go here, start by visiting this link. This link takes you here. Once you get here, you're gonna start on step 1. Again, you see this big mandatory, you do not have the plugin or hook. I added both. We did that already. And we also did the exe. So we got all that already. See? We got all that part done. So step 1 says download the NBA 2K exe, place this into your directory. Please make a backup. We talked about that already. We did that. Number 2 says download the main files and place them into your modded folder. So I'm gonna do one. I'm not gonna do all of this stuff here because it's just, I'm not gonna go over that step by step, but download the main file. So when you're in this 2K, in this MediaFire 2K directory, we're gonna scroll down. We're gonna look for main files. Here it is right here. I'm gonna open it up. I'll download it in real time just to show you guys. You see at the bottom is downloading. I got fiber, so it shouldn't take that long. Once that's done downloading, we're gonna open it up. We're gonna go into our NBA 2K directory. We're gonna go to the WGUA folder, and we're gonna drop those files in. Once we drop those files in, we're gonna go to the next step. Download, unzip, drop those files in. That's the easiest way. It's not, you don't have to do anything else outside of that. Another thing what people do is, because my mod does not work with any other mod, so my mod won't work with anybody's other courts, no other rosters, no other type of like all-in-one mods. It does not work. My mod has to work by itself with nothing else on it. So what people do is they'll make different versions of this folder, just so they can keep track of the different mods that they have. For example, somebody may make a WGUA folder and call it NBA. What that does is they can put all of the NBA mods that they have just for like the current NBA season. They can put all of those in this folder, and they can have separate mods outside of the college and, you know, outside of the college for the NBA. Then that way, when you want to play the NBA version of your mods, you just rename this version here to college, add college at the end of it. You know, add the college at the end of it. And then change the name of this one to just WAIGUA, because this is the file name that the mod plugin reads. It only reads the WAIGUA. It has to be that name of the folder. So what you'll do is you'll basically switch between the types of versions that you want to use. So you'll notice people have different versions of this WAIGUA folder for the different mods that they have. For example, they may have one for NBA mods, one for the college. They may have one for Infamous NY's street mod. They may have another one for TG street mod with his blacktop. So people have different versions of this folder. That's probably the easiest way that you can do to kind of separate your mods. So, all right, so our 2K main files is downloaded. We're gonna open it up. Every time you open up one of these directories, I just present you with the name of the folder here. Just open that up. Once you open that up, you need to take all these files and folders. Don't open the folders, just take the whole folder. All these files and folders, drag them into this WAIGUA folder. Once you drag them into the WAIGUA folder, go to the next step. The next step, it says download all the arenas. Step 1. Arenas part 1. You're going to download the arenas. Once you download the arenas, you're going to open them up. Once you open them up, and I'll go back to that download just again so you guys can see it. Once you open it up, it's going to say 2K20 College Arenas Part 1. Open that folder up. Copy all of them. Drag them into this WAIGUA folder. Once you do that for every single file, you're all good. Only other things I may need to touch on here is I did have some settings information here. So if you don't want fog in the arenas, I'll tell you how to get that out of there. There's a glow on the shot clock. I'll talk about how to remove that. And if the arenas are too bright, there are 2 files that you'll want to take from I don't think I got them here. Default lighting in arenas, which is right here. If the arenas are too bright for you, because I have different lightings in my arena, if they're too bright, just download this file. When you download this file, open it up, and these 2 files you have to put inside of each of these S files right here. So each of these S with numbers after them, those are the arenas. You need to place these 2 files into those files to be able to remove the bright lighting if it's too bright for your taste. To be able to do that, you need a program called 7-Zip. Download 7-Zip. You can get it from the web. You can typically just go 7-Zip. If I can type. Download it. Once you install it, you'll be able to right click on these files. A 7-Zip option will be here. You're going to click Open Archive. Once you open Archive, this is going to be every file that loads up inside of an arena. You're going to take these 2 files from the default lighting, drag them and drop them in. Once you drop them in, you have to do that for every single arena file in here. Only the ones that have the numbers behind it. You don't have to worry about the light maps, just the ones with the numbers behind it. But you have to do that for every single file in case the arenas are too bright. Most people are not gonna have an issue, but if you do, I give you that option as well. As far as troubleshooting, make sure you have that exe. We talked about this in the beginning. Make sure you got that. Make sure you have the hook. We already did that. You should have that already. And if the jerseys and courts are not showing up and you know for a fact you did all of this correct, re-download the roster. I changed a lot of stuff in this roster and it's kind of big at this point. So go ahead and re-download it a few times if it's not working. Just an issue with 2K, nothing we can really do about it. Sometimes it gets corrupt with 2K share. But once you do that, you'll know it's working, because once you drag all that stuff in your folder, your WAIGUA folder, Load up 2K. I'm gonna load it up again so you guys can see it. You'll see the NCAA logo on the background. If it does not load, close 2K. Sometimes you'll have all the files right and 2K still won't load them all right. It's just an issue this year that we're having with the plugin. Just close it, reopen it. Just close it and reopen it. And like I said, you'll know it's gonna load because you'll see that NCAA background. Once you have that, then you'll know like, okay, I'm on to something because I have the mod files installed right. So if you see this, you should be good. I mean, you should have stuff installed right. I would say at that point, just try to re-download the roster. That probably will fix that issue. With the roster, you're gonna go to features, create roster, user created roster. You're gonna hit triangle. Search by online ID. You're gonna type my name, Rob Davis. You're gonna hit enter. It's gonna come up with the MM2K20 roster. Click that. It's gonna download the data. You will know that the roster is working and the mods are working because every team should have their jersey. Like the user should have the player should have their jersey on. And you can go into edit player. And you can go to accessories and they should have their jerseys. That's the quickest way to test, to be honest. Once you verify that users have the right jerseys, save the roster. Save the roster to your save it, whatever you want to call it. And then anytime you want to load up into a different mode, like let's say you want to play now, you have to load that roster. So you got to load up the one that you saved that says local. It'll be whatever you named it. You want to start a My League and use my files in My League. When you get here, you have to press L3 or triangle, I'm sorry. Load the roster so you can use my roster in My League. That's how that works. So people that have been asking questions on that. That's pretty much it, man. I ain't mean for this video to be 20 minutes, but we just went over basically step by step of how to get set up for the mods, how to make a shortcut, get the mod plugin, get the hook, get the exe, and then how to go to my thread and download the files. Download them one by one, unzip, drag and drop, download, unzip, drag and drop. Remember, it's probably a good idea if you have if you're already using mods already, like if you have some NBA mods like cyber faces and stuff like that, it's probably a good idea to make another Google folder and call it college and start putting my stuff in there. And then when you're ready to use the college one, just rename the current one to whatever it is and delete the college part off of that one and then leave it just to be the WAIGUA. That way that when 2K loads up the mods, it's going to load up just this file name and then it'll load up all the mods inside of that. That's pretty much it, man. I really can't make it any simpler than that. If you're still having issues, drop some comments. People have been sending me messages, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can feel free to do that too, but that's the easiest way to install this mod. You shouldn't have any other issues outside of that, but if you do, let me know. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.